Welcome to another podcast today in which we will be discussing the physics department housed at the Said Babrali School of Science and Engineering. More specifically, we will be talking about the MS and PhD in physics programs. I'm joined today by Dr. Ammar, who is an assistant professor, and Dr. Rizwan, who is an associate professor. Assalamu alaikum, everyone. Let's have an interesting podcast. Dr. Rizwan, let's start off with you. There are so many universities in Pakistan which teach physics. Why should someone join the Said Babrali School of Science and Engineering if they want to pursue either an MS program or a PhD program in physics?
We have an excellent research program. We have a wonderful focus on teaching. We have perhaps the best collection of teaching and research faculty here. We have research facilities at par and better than other places in Pakistan. And we have a culture that cultivates research. So you will frequently see students here working very late till night. And as a matter of fact, if you can go, I think there'll probably be only a few hours in the day, if any, when somebody is not working in the department. Mm-hmm. So the lights are on and someone is always working. And this just sort of feeds into a very, very positive culture of research.
Someone is always working in the physics department. What are the types of facilities we have to help these people?
If you want to pursue research in physics, there's two broad categorizations. There's people who do what is called theoretical physics, and there's people who do experimental physics. We have very decent computing facilities. There is a central high-performance computing facility as well. There is a decent workspace where people can sit down, discuss ideas, and bounce them off each other as well.
I'll add to that. In terms of facilities for experimental research, so the physics department, and more importantly, the School of Science and Engineering in general, so it houses several laboratories, either hosted within research groups. So research groups would be groups led by individual faculty members. And we also have several central laboratory facilities which are accessible to all graduates, postgraduate students across disciplines in the SSC. So in physics specifically, we have laboratories dedicated towards advanced spectroscopy, advanced material growth, material characterization. But we work with faculty in the life sciences department and in the chemical engineering and chemistry departments to do interdisciplinary projects as well. We also have a lot of support in-house. For example, the physics department houses a very expansive workshop facility, which includes mechanical working, electronics, interfacing, so on and so forth. And we also house an instrumentation cell, which allows us to fix instruments that break down or add on to custom capabilities. So a lot of that is available in-house. So we can do serious research.
I also want to point out that there are always students who are interested to pursue an undergraduate program in physics in Pakistan, who for whatever reason, primarily peer pressure and societal reasons, decide to go against it. Those students actually have an excellent opportunity to pursue an MS in physics right here from LUMS. As a matter of fact, we get 1 or 2 students every year who have done perhaps mechanical engineering or electrical engineering, and they come to us to do their masters in physics. They will find a very hospitable environment over here, and they usually do really well.
Dr. Mark, can you tell us about the structure of this program?
Our MS program, it's a combination of a taught and a research degree. So a student has to complete 30 credit hours in total to qualify for the degree. In these 30 credit hours, there are 12 credit hours dedicated towards core courses. Now, these are fundamental courses such as quantum mechanics, statistical mechanics, so on and so forth. But there are also 6 credit hours that are dedicated towards a thesis. And students typically spend 1 year, so 2 semesters in the second year, 3 credit hours every semester, working on an immersive, serious research problem under the supervision of a faculty member. So that's 18 credit hours, the 12 core courses and 6 credit hours of thesis. Then we have 12 credit hours of electives. And there's a lot of variety in terms of how those electives can be taken within the department.
We simply state that students can register up to 2 courses from any program within the SSC. 2 courses which don't have a PHY code.
What are the types of researches that are going on right now? And any ongoing initiatives or projects?
Yes, we are focused both on research and teaching. We do try to balance both, and but there are several initiatives being followed in the department. Basically, every faculty member pushes a particular contemporary, small area of physics, and they try to publish and do work at the forefront of what's out there. Now, in our department, we have representation from major areas of physics. This includes quantum computing, open quantum systems, high energy physics, people working on quantum gravity. We also have experimentalists such as myself. I work on basically, optoelectronic devices, their characterization, understanding structure property relationships. We also have particle physicists and have I covered all areas?
I think you've covered all areas.
I've covered all areas. Yeah.
So, Dr. Rizwan, can you talk to us about high energy physics and what it is basically?
Right, so high energy physics is the study of physics at high energy scales. The idea, so I mean, it's very obvious, the name says it's high energy physics. We're going to talk about physics at high energy scales. So it turns out that when we look at nature, we can probe nature at different energy scales. So if we're probing only up to a certain energy, we can only gather information about atomic orbitals, for instance, and that is the domain of atomic physics and the domain of chemistry. But when we dig deeper, we can probe nuclear structure. When we're going inside the nucleus, we know that the nucleus is made up of protons and neutrons, but it turns out that there's a whole new world over there which is not accessible at lower energies. But when you go to higher and higher energies, you get to realize that protons are not elementary particles. They're made up of things that we call quarks, and they have lots of gluons over there. Gluons are, of course, the glue that binds the pieces of the proton into giving you one whole proton. And so this entire study, which looks at nature at a very fundamental level, is called high energy physics. And whereas on the one end it connects to the realm of the extremely small, the sub-microscopic, on the other hand it also relates to the world of the very large, talking about the cosmos as a whole. So if you're going to talk about how the universe came into existence, that is also a question that is that falls within the gambit of what we call high energy physics.
Academia and research in Pakistan and globally are very honorable fields. But apart from these fields, do we have any other fields or sectors in which graduates of the physics program can go into?
I'm going to say, first off, physics is a research degree, right? So if you're working as a physicist, you would be doing some kind of research. Now, having said that, there's no reason that that research cannot take place within a corporate setting. In any company that is working on cutting edge technology for developing, space technologies or developing anything to do with computers at the hardware level, they will be hiring physicists. So physicists are at the forefront of that research. But then we always have, certain offshoots as well. So graduates of, for example, particle physics or astrophysics have found their way into financial forecasting as well. And I like to say that the 2008 stock market crash really happened because of these fellas.
In addition to that, I think physicists, so for example, like he mentioned, working in hardware, if you think about an electric car, yes, you need electrical engineers, you need chemical engineers, but you also require physicists at some level to model, certain systems. In addition, he mentioned things like SpaceX or Tesla. All of these companies actually hire physicists, but also something like Facebook, because nowadays virtual reality and augmented reality goggles are, they're about to come to the market. Now that requires a lot of, ray tracing, light management, so on and so forth, which is something a physicist is equipped to do. But in addition, like you mentioned, we do have alumni from the department who are working as financial analysts, as management consultants, because what physics does is that it equips you with problem-solving skills. People who've done a bachelor's in physics or people who are generally curious, it's not necessarily an easy degree. There is significant quantitative analysis. You have to, you have arguments built upon other arguments and assumptions to try to model physical systems, and everything has limitations, and a good physicist understands those limitations. So that training, if you go through a graduate degree or an undergraduate degree in physics, that training really does prepare you very well for real world problem solving. And these skills are really valued in areas such as Wall Street or other financial institutions or even management consultancy institutions out there.
Well, if you want to join this program, let me tell you about the admission criteria we have at the physics department. For the MS program, you will need a 16 years of minimum education. On top of that, we will be checking your academic criteria. You need a minimum of 2.4 CGPA to apply for the program. On top of that, you will also have to give an admission test. So it will be the LUMS graduate admission test. And moving on, you will also have to give letters of recommendation. You might have an interview if you are shortlisted for that. And for the PhD, you need 18 years of education. An interview is mandatory for that. So Dr. Rizwan, we can talk about the interview. What do you particularly look in a person when you call them up for an interview for the PhD program?
Okay, so physics in some sense is very simple, right? Whereas we've so far covered that it sort of connects to a wide range of natural phenomena and finds applications in all kinds of technologies. At the core of it, it's very simple. So it relies on understanding what we call basic physics: electromagnetism, quantum mechanics, thermodynamics and statistical mechanics, and we have classical mechanics, right? So this is foundational knowledge for all of physics. For the interview, this is all we're looking at. So we want students coming in who understand these particular subjects.
In addition to, which is actually one of the most important things, which is in addition to assessing how well students understand basic physics, there's also I think we expect students to be able to present either what they want to do in their PhD research or what they've done prior to their PhD. Let's say if they've done a master's thesis, if they've done an internship or a research assistantship somewhere else, if they did a project in their undergraduate degree, we do like to see some inclination of being able to communicate their past research experience. We place emphasis on both the admissions test, which tests the fundamental core areas of physics Dr. Rizwan mentioned, and we also place emphasis on the interview. So yeah, both are probably equally important, I would say.
So we also have a Sabasi specific subject test as well.
Like a student applying into a physics MS or PhD, they take a subject test also. And we do place significant emphasis on how well a student does in that particular subject test. And historically, I believe the students who do really well in the test have a higher probability of being admitted.
Does the physics department have coordination with other schools as well within LUMS?
In terms of research projects and in terms of students, there's a lot of so there's a lot of back and forth between departments in the SSC, in the School of Science and Engineering. And you mentioned two departments, but we regularly have students, for example, from electrical engineering come and take our classes. We have students from electrical engineering come and do senior year projects with us, or even MS thesis projects with us.
And the math department.
And the math department, absolutely. And the CS department also.
For instance, if we have a business going on, and if the physics department, so students of the physics department want to have a coordination with the students in a business department, is that possible?
That is definitely possible, and and I think LUMS provides a very immersive and a very open environment for students in order to be able to do these cross-disciplinary, initiatives and helping each other out, either through student societies. There are lots of societies within LUMS, both entrepreneurial societies, outreach societies, so on and so forth. But specifically, I mean, at least in physics or in the master's program in physics, we don't have a lot of students, let's say from the business school, come and take our classes.
That is understandable.
Yeah, but students do work together, absolutely, in the general ecosystem that LUMS provides.
Well, Dr. Rizwan, funding can be a big issue for these students who want to apply for any of these programs. While the PhD program is fully funded, do we have any scholarships for the MS program?
The PhD program is not only fully funded, but I would add that it provides a decent stipend on top of a full fee waiver. So it's a wonderful opportunity.
And I think you can also become a research assistant or a teaching assistant on top of that as well.
So there is a teaching assistant requirement that goes along with the financial support. So you are, it's not that you can, but that you have to become a teaching assistant for 2 semesters. But other than that, yes, you're absolutely right. Sometimes funds can be supplemented through research grants on top of whatever stipend is provided.
Dr. Mark, can you talk about the scholarships we have for the MS students?
Yes, absolutely. There are several, opportunities that are available towards potential, MS students of availing some sort of financial aid. There are merit scholarships. There's an excellent interest-free loan program offered by LUMS, and a lot of students subscribe to this particular program. In addition to this, there are partial tuition waivers available to MS students. What LUMS really strives to do, and this is our mission, is that if there is a student out there who is passionate and they have strong fundamental understanding and ideas about physics or whatever science subject there is, then at SSC in the physics department, we try to make sure that you find a way and that money does not stop you from enrolling and studying here.
Well, I think that is very nice, that money is not a very big barrier for these students. Before we conclude the podcast, Dr. Rizwan, I would like to talk to you about something. Basically, physics is one of those programs which are known as general sciences programs. I don't think these programs change a lot, but with the ever-changing environment we have, do you think this program will change in the future or will it stay the same?
The foundations of physics rarely change, right? I mean, they are due for an overhaul, right? They're always due for an overhaul because we're always looking for a deeper, more fundamental understanding of things. But at the research level, physics is a very vibrant and a very changing discipline. So, following that, our faculty always works on contemporary issues. So right now, in particular, we have faculty members, in particular Dr. Faryad, who's branching out into quantum computing. He's begun offering courses in quantum computing. He's begun taking on research students in quantum computing, which is an upcoming area. And also, I would imagine that the impact of artificial intelligence is going to be felt in a big way, and that is bound to lead to certain changes. But yes, the foundations, they're not going to change.
Well, let me paint a scenario for you. We have a student who is completing his bachelor's in physics, and he or she is hesitant about joining a master's program in physics. Do the both of you have any advice for those students?
I would say that, of course, every student needs to assess what their goals are and what they want to achieve from a graduate or a postgraduate program. For example, let's say if like a scenario you presented, we have a student who's just completed or about to complete a bachelor's program, either in physics or let's say electrical engineering in some other institute in Pakistan. And they want to, let's say, see themselves as becoming physicists or at least incorporating physics into their future research. Then the physics department at SSC is a great place to be. You know, we cover the basic areas. We offer proper, serious research experience by the time our students graduate. And that enables them both in the job market as well as enables them to go on to pursue further, you know,
Postdoc program.
if we have a PhD student, yes, they go on to pursue a postdoc position, and we have lots of PhD students who have graduated and went on to pursue postdocs in reputable international groups and universities. But if you've completed a master's from here, then on the flip side, you know, you can go on to pursue a PhD internationally. But my recommendation for a student who's just about to graduate would be that they need to assess their dreams, their goals, and their interests. I think it's really important to assess one's interests also, because you know, physics is beautiful. It's you know, there's so much you can do, but you know, a student needs to love physics, I think, before they opt for a degree.
Dr. Rizwan, this scenario I'm painting is because a lot of students are pressured into going for a general program, such as an MBA, after they complete their physics program, because they think that they've learned everything they can from their bachelor's. What more can they learn from an MS or a PhD in physics?
Right. Okay. So our experience over here has really been that our students who do a BS in physics here at LUMS love to continue on to do graduate work in physics. And that's basically because we instill in them the passion for the subject. And if you're passionate for the subject, you should definitely go ahead and do a master's or a PhD in physics. This degree will open doors for you, but only if you're passionate about it. I don't think that this general remark of being pushed away from physics after having completed an undergraduate always applies. It certainly does not apply in our specific case for our undergraduate program.
Well, if you want to study from these faculty members, let me just tell you about the application deadline and the application process as well. So for the application process, the entire process will be online. You have to create your application on our website and submit it, submit your application basically. The application deadline for completely submitting your application is the 16th of April, and the deadline for submitting all of your documents is the 17th of April. Thank you so much, Dr. Ammar and Dr. Rizwan. Thank you everyone for joining this podcast, and I hope to see you again.